Hey, welcome to episode 64 of the Be Life podcast. My name is Josh, and I am joined today in studio by a special guest, Lydia, and of course, as always, by our producer, Zach, who's hanging out behind the cameras. We always appreciate all that Zach does to make this podcast possible. In case you didn't notice, Joe is not here today. Joe is hanging out with our church youth group this weekend, and it's something that he seemed a little nervous about in prepping his lesson, but the same sort of conversations we had in episode 63 about freedom. Joe's just taking those conversations to the teenagers, and I think it'll actually really resonate with them. So hoping to hear back from him next week and hear a little bit about his experience that he had with youth group. But for today, we are joined by Lydia, and Lydia works for Habitat for Humanity in East Central Ohio. Habitat for Humanity is one of the community partners that our local church, Canton Nazarene Church, works with on a regular basis. It's a partnership that we want to see grow. It's been really rewarding for our church members, and it feels like our giving of our time and our money is really making a difference. Like, it's meeting people's actual needs. And so we thought it'd be fun to have you on to talk a little bit about the organization, about your role there.
Absolutely. I am a community connection manager at Habitat, and I have been with Habitat ECO, as we refer to it, for just about 2 years now. So my role has changed a little bit over the years, but I work really closely with our events. And get to go out to site and work with our volunteers. So every workday that we have, we take a break at 10 o'clock. We put down our hammers and have a devotion. And so it's really rewarding to be able to connect with everyone that's coming out to site and giving their time and energy towards building these homes.
Yeah. So working with the volunteers during that time of devotion, that's where you step in. That's your specialty.
Yes, I love doing that. And I normally have a camera in my hand too. So I get to take some photos of everyone working and then get to tell them a bit about Habitat, like we're going to do here today.
Yeah. Awesome. You also had mentioned about working, doing events for Habitat for Humanity. What sort of events does an organization like that have?
That's a great question. We have a wide range of events, anywhere from a home dedication that can be a key presentation on the front porch of a home that a family is getting ready to purchase, or it can be a large scale event in our facility. We have up to 100 volunteers that will come out and do blitzes of things. So we have a shed building blitz that's coming up that we will have with the Black College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, lots of different community partners that will come and volunteer.
Yeah. I think it's really great that an organization like that works with so many members of the community. It's not an organization trying to put everything on their own shoulders, but is partnering with other people that want to see positive change come to their community, and people that are willing to put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if someone's listening to this or watching on YouTube, and they've probably heard of Habitat for Humanity. It's a pretty staple name in today's world, but they might not know what exactly that organization does. They might have seen the name on some buildings. I mean, a lot of times it's associated with building homes. Can you just give us that like 10,000 foot view of what exactly does Habitat do?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do know that Habitat has been around for quite some time and has become this well-known name. But with that, we have a whole lot of misconceptions about what it is that we do.
Yeah.
And so really what Habitat does is we partner with hardworking families who are working to build their forever home. And so through that, we have different partners come alongside and really help through the building process, helping the families build their home. And then what I think the coolest part of the whole thing is that at the end of the process, our families purchase their home for a 0% interest mortgage.
Purchase their home.
Purchase.
Okay, so it's not like the big TV shows where you just hand it over to them.
Correct.
How
So
how exactly does that work?
yeah, so we hear all the time that people think Habitat gives homes away for free.
Yeah,
and
just building homes and giving away to people in need.
Yes, so that's not what we do.
Okay.
So we work with families who their income is 30 to 80% of the area median average. And they are families that are working really hard. They're bringing in steady income. They have a need for housing, but wouldn't be able to secure a conventional loan. And so they come to Habitat with that need for housing, for affordable housing. And
So it's the people that have the need for it, they have the drive for it, they just are lacking either the income or the opportunity to get the funding, the loan.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So there's a lot of barriers to purchasing a home
Oh,
on
for
the
sure.
open market. Right now, it's crazy,
Yes,
right?
anyone who's doing home shopping, any young person, they know that the struggle of what's going on. Yeah, but getting your hands on a home is it's the American dream, but it's so difficult,
Yes.
and especially in the market right now.
Yes. And when you look at interest rates, Zach and I bought a house almost 2 years ago. So for anyone that's listening and does not know, Josh is actually my brother-in-law. So
Yes, yeah.
yes. So
Surprise.
so when Zach and I were looking at houses, we didn't really understand what mortgages were and how they were written and what everything and that meant. So that was a learning experience.
I feel that. And it's like there's so much jargon, like the paperwork for signing
Yes.
is just like a huge packet, but then you're also doing electronic signing and you're not quite sure how that works and you don't want to mess it up. It's intimidating.
And then people give you an interest rate and you don't really understand what that means.
Yeah.
And then at the end of all the paperwork, there's a really fun number of what you will have paid over that 30-year mortgage with your interest rate. And when we were looking at our number, it was 2.5 times the value of the home.
Yeah.
And we were like, how does that even work? So whether it's that interest rate that's really causing that barrier, or it can be that there was a credit hit. Credit scores are crazy. It's that I love debt score, right?
Yes.
And so if you have one mistake that you've made, that can stay on that credit score forever. And so that can be a barrier to applying for that conventional mortgage. So when families come to Habitat, they are really approaching Habitat with this hope that we are going to follow through with what we say that we're going to do, that we are going to help them build an affordable home. And so what that ends up looking like is families partner with Habitat for about 2 years. It's anywhere from 18 to 24 months that our families are a part of the program. And so that is from applying for the program. The first thing that we do is make sure that they meet all of our qualifications. And so that really is that there is that need for housing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that is not just what people imagine, where this house is just falling apart around the family. It could be that. But a lot of times it is that there's an overcrowding situation or really high rent. Rentals right now are incredibly expensive. And when you look at the housing crisis, a lot of that is that there are houses that are being used as rentals that are unaffordable. They're not being maintained well by whoever owns that house. So there can be a lot of
eternal struggle
problems.
between landlord and renter. And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense as you're describing this. It's not these people that are it's not the absolute most like sad, heart-wrenching situations. It's just real life people that, they got a bad hand dealt to them. They're struggling with the difficult things that all of us are facing in one way or another, but for them it's become too much and they can't move on. They can't take that next step. So you guys are there to help equip them to take that next step.
Yes.
All right.
So there's that need for housing
Yeah.
that is first. Second is that ability to pay because we are selling that house at the end of the process. We need to know that the families that we're working with have at least a 2-year work history, something steady, and we know that the amount that they're bringing in, they'll be able to pay for the mortgage. We want to make sure that our families are set up for success. So we look at that at the beginning. And then the third component is that they are ready to partner, build, and invest because this process is a really hands on process and it takes a lot of time and energy.
So when you say partner build, what exactly are you referring to with that?
Yeah. So, we use the word partnership a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, because this is a hand up and not a handout, we love to use the word partnership because a lot of the work that is being done by the family.
Oh, okay.
The volunteers come alongside,
Yeah.
and we really love to say that Habitat is just that bridge between organizations, churches, communities that are wanting to help, and hardworking families that are really looking for that next step. And so we're the bridge between those two, and they come alongside each other to make that happen.
I mean, that,
So,
not gonna lie, that sounds like an amazing ministry. And I
yeah.
don't know if everyone that's a part of Habitat views it in that light, but as I hear it in the context of, being here
Yeah.
at our church in the studio on this podcast, it really does sound like a ministry. You're filling that gap. You are showing up for them. You're helping them to overcome the barriers that are a part of our system inevitably, but can be overwhelming for people. And
Mhm.
it's not, I really like that phrase you put out. It's not a handout, it's a hand up.
Mhm.
It's the teach a man to fish philosophy. I
Yes.
love that.
Yes. So, Habitat is a ministry. So, we are founded on biblical principles.
Oh, okay.
We do say that we are a Christian organization, but we are non proselytizing.
Mm,
We love that we are a common ground ministry. So, you don't have to have any religious background to partner with us, to be on staff, to enter in as a family. But we do have those biblical roots. And so some of what that looks like is, right, that teach a man to fish. Some of that is that 0% interest mortgage. In the Old Testament, actually, in a few spots, it talks about when you give your brother a loan, charge him no interest.
yeah.
And so that is one that we really hold strong to.
And that's wild because that's one of the commands that we'll very quickly look at and say, oh, that's for a different culture. That's for a different time. That's impractical in today's society.
Yeah.
But you guys are like, no, we feel called to do this, to live it out.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
absolutely. So that's why we think partnership is so important because it is really that piece that is empowering, that piece that gives dignity, and really looking at our Christian roots, I think that that is what we're called to do, is really to empower and give dignity to every person that we encounter, that we work with.
Yeah, giving dignity to them. I think that's another beautiful phrase. So I mean, first of all, I think you're good at your job, right? If you're bringing to light all of these phrases that are helping me to both understand and to feel inspired, right? Like I want to be a part of this mission. I'm proud to
Yeah.
say that I get to be one of those partners that's a part of working with Habitat. Um, One of the things you mentioned that I find really interesting is you were saying non-proselytizing Christian.
Hmm.
And I know that is something that is probably going to stir up an opinion in pretty much everyone who hears it, one way or another.
Sure.
A lot of people talk about like when you're a Christian, your goal is to share the gospel. And so if you're non-proselytizing, if you're not trying to make people into Christians, then are you really sharing the gospel? And I've definitely heard that criticism surrounding a lot of different things. Sometimes it's government programs that are set up. Sometimes it's organizations like yours. Sometimes it's the church or my personal charity.
Hmm.
Isn't my job every time I'm helping someone out to also preach the gospel to them? I recently heard a quote, and I'm sorry I can't recall who it was from, but they said about the gospel, being called to share the gospel sometimes looks like being called to preach the gospel, and
Hmm.
other times it's it is being called to model the gospel, to show the gospel. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's sharing the message in preaching, what we think of a lot of times, like in church ministry. But to show the gospel is to do that upside down kingdom, to live out those obscure
Mhm.
commands, like not charging interest to someone
Yeah.
who you're loaning money to. And yeah, you're modeling the gospel, like hands down. That's what you're doing. And I think that that's commendable.
Yeah. I think that you hit the nail on the head. Pun intended. That really it's that we're called to live it out.
Yeah.
And that's how I view it working at Habitat and being someone that has faith is that this is my opportunity to live out my faith. A lot of people that are partnering with Habitat that are coming out to work sites, this is their way to live out their faith as well. And
Yeah.
so, whether faith is Christian or not Christian, it really gives that opportunity to live out your beliefs.
Yeah.
And I also think that the fact that our mission is really centered around housing, not necessarily spreading the gospel, that it opens up that freedom of not needing to proselytize, but really being able to have the opportunity to have um, really great conversations with people and keep the mission really what it is. And that mission really is that every person of- deserves to have decent, affordable housing.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone that would disagree with that.
No, that's a mission statement that everyone can agree with,
Mhm.
despite your religion or your personal philosophy. At the beginning, when you were talking about your particular role with the organization,
Yeah.
you had mentioned during the build days, sometimes you would, or always, you would lead a devotional with them.
Yeah,
But then you just said that you have some non-Christians that are coming out to partner.
totally.
Have you experienced any conflict with that? Do people respond well to it, even if they're non-Christians?
So we still call that time a devotion time, but it looks different for each group that's out. So for faith groups, it's absolutely a conversation about faith. It's a time that we're able to, put those hammers down and gather together and really reflect on the work that is being done, and not just the work on the house, but the work that's being done in each person that's there, in the
Yeah.
family, in the overall community. And when you take the faith conversation out of that, I think the rest of it still stands. And so that devotion time, we still call it that with every group. But when we have corporations out, it's much less of a faith conversation and much more of a community conversation. But the number of times we have those conversations and it's directed back to faith by someone that is there working, saying that, well, I wanted to be here today, not because my company gave me the day off to be here, but because this is my opportunity to live out that faith.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
naturally ends up going that direction.
Cool. So you rely a lot on not just preaching at them, but having a conversation.
Mhm.
And do you find that people oftentimes want to engage in that conversation?
Yeah, I think that people really do. And if it's not necessarily about faith, then it's absolutely always about the family.
Hmm.
And to be able to work side by side with a complete stranger that at the end of the day, you know who they are, you've learned about their family, you've learned why they are making this decision to really put all of this extra time and effort into changing the trajectory of their lives, of their children's lives. It's hard not to draw some of those conclusions on your own.
Yeah, and in one of our older episodes, I had Jimmy Black on here, youth minister at our church, and we were talking about mission trips,
Mm.
and talking about the implications of that, our personal memories and experiences with them. And as you're talking about these build days, these faith builds, the partner builds, that's what it keeps reminding me of. And I know that for a lot of people, those mission trips are so formative because it is an opportunity for them to live out their faith in a way they wouldn't have otherwise. I think it's amazing, however, that right here in East Central Ohio, that opportunity is before us like all the time
Yeah.
because of an organization like Habitat. And I think that is like that is very cool. It also makes me feel like I don't have the excuse not to do it, you
Sure.
know? Because sometimes you get back from mission trip, you're like, oh, once in a lifetime experience. I'm glad I had that. I grew close to my team. I feel like I was close to God. I got to help people out. Once in a lifetime experience. But like that's what we're called to do all the time.
Sure.
And so to have an organization like Habitat to provide that opportunity to facilitate that on a regular basis, you can work with a team and grow closer with them, that you can give back to a community in need, that you can live out your faith in a special way. Like
Yeah.
that's an amazing thing. Do you have people that partner with you, some of your volunteers that are there on a regular basis? Do you have some regulars?
Yes, we have regulars in a couple different ways. We build and preserve about 25 houses per year. And so we have sponsors that will um, put the funding and the volunteers behind those builds. So we have partners that we've worked with for 25 years. And so we have
Yeah.
regulars in that sense.
Okay.
But we also have what we call our habitat crew. And so we have retired women and men that come in every Tuesday and Thursday and help with different projects. So we have a space on Raft Road that it's an incredible building. We are so blessed to be in the space that houses the Restore, our warehouse and construction team, and our ministry team. So our entire staff is in one spot. But this warehouse and workshop area really gives the opportunity that not all of the construction has to happen out on job sites. It can happen in our building.
Okay.
So the Habitat crew will come in and prep things to go out on site that would be harder to construct out on site and would slow down the building process. So being able to do work in two places at once really does help. So a lot of times they're working on staining trim. All of our trim we do in house. If we are able to stain and coat that trim ourselves, that saves us a lot of money.
Yeah.
So being able to be really intentional with our dollars and spread it to build as many houses as we can
And
is really
you
the
have
goal.
volunteers coming in as a part of this team to do that.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So they're there for like 6 hours every Tuesday and every Thursday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's their ministry.
It is.
That's awesome. So you had said about 25 houses a year. I
Yes.
mean, first of all, that's amazing because it's like that's 25 families that get a
Right.
home. So like super cool. How big of an area is that
Great
for
question.
East Central Ohio?
Yeah, so we're in 5 counties. We are in Stark, Carroll, Tusk, Harrison, and Jefferson counties. And we are primarily building in Stark County. That's the vast majority, but we are building in each of those other counties as well and are continuing to look at ways that we can grow building in those areas. So we have some partners in those areas that are continuing to fund those builds and send out volunteers and are really gaining traction in those areas as well.
Cool. If I have a couple of technical
Yeah,
questions, I don't know which of these you can answer. How do you like come up with the design for the home? Is it
great
just like it
question.
gets dropped in place? You have two or three options to pick from?
So we have 12 different house styles. And what happens is on the back end, when we have land available, we have someone on our staff that really looks at the shape of the land, the designs of our homes, and pairs up what houses would fit best on each property. There are a lot of zoning laws with how far back off of the road you have to be, how far off each property line you have to be. So, trying to make sure that our houses fit in all of those codes. And then having a balance of both three bedroom home designs and 4 bedroom home designs so that we are able to work with families of different sizes.
Is that what it normally is? Is it's families with kids that are large?
Typically it is families with kids,
Okay.
not always.
Okay.
And the size is always different. So
Gotcha.
that plays into when you look at the funding piece of like how much money a family is bringing in for how many children they have, that plays
Oh,
into
okay.
that like
Yeah.
area median income. But that does not change the decision for Habitat of, well, this family has this many kids or doesn't have this many kids. We will build with any size family.
Okay. What about people that are looking for a home who have special needs? Someone who's
Yeah.
in a wheelchair or other like needs other amenities like that, or other oh, what's the term for that?
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Has,
Amenities. No, these are like requirements on them. Like
yes.
these are the things they need in life. Are you guys able to do that, or is that you pass them off to someone else?
No, we are able to do that.
Okay.
So we do look at the ability for someone to be able to live on their own, really looking at setting our families up for success.
Yeah.
But we have had homes where we are building them with wheelchair ramps and the extra wide doors. And whether that is for the adult or for a child that may have additional needs,
Yeah.
looking at this being a house where they are able to age well.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, it's taking a lot of things into consideration, even looking forward, not
Yes.
just meeting their immediate needs, but that long term investment in them.
Yes.
How do you how do you decide what land to purchase? Is it like, are you guys buying entire like farms at once to put in a development, or is it one property at a time? I don't know how much of this you
That's
know
a
from your
great
position. I'm
question.
just curious.
Yeah, so it all works a little differently. It depends on the affordability of the land. We also work with the land bank, and we also accept donations of land. So if
Oh,
someone
yeah,
has a lot of land, is looking, or a little bit of land, and is looking to donate that, we do accept that as a donation and are able to build on those lots.
that's super cool.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to give, they can volunteer time, they can give money, they can come in as a part of the team who's doing some stuff at the warehouse, they can donate land. What if someone feels like they might be in a situation where the home might be the need for them? They
Yeah.
might need that hand up. How would you go about that? How do I know if I'm in a situation, it sometimes it's real easy to play like the comparison game and to say, "Oh, I'm struggling, but there's other people whose needs are greater. I'll figure it out." And still just like be stuck, and I don't know, something like a
Sure.
credit score to get a loan is not something that's easy to change.
Right.
It can be a really crippling situation. How do I know if I'm the right person for it, and how would I go about finding that out or taking that next step?
Yeah. So on our website, habitateco.org, there is an application. And so we always encourage people to first go to our website, learn more about Habitat, look through the application, see if they meet the qualifications. The other thing is really looking at the big picture. What Habitat is about is really about generational change. And so if this is something that someone thinks I might be able to make it day to day, I'm able to swing it, maybe it's not for me, you shouldn't have to swing it. You shouldn't have to always just be swinging it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We really want this to be something that someone's not swinging, but someone's affording. And
Mm,
as parents are able to afford this house, they're able to really, rather than investing more in that rent month to month, they're able to invest that money back into their children, back into healthier food, back into so many different things, so many different areas that those doors now open. And so I would just encourage someone to think about that long term.
So it's not just for people to survive, but
Yes.
it's to meet this need for people, to allow them to truly live life, to thrive, to invest in their families, to invest in their futures.
Yes.
That makes sense, and that feels like it opens up the door to possibly more people to be a part of this. And you had said about the volunteers, or the applicants
Mhm.
also doing some volunteering, or doing some work as a part of their requirements.
Yeah,
How
great
does that work
question.
exactly?
So, when we talk about it being an 18 to 24 month process, it does not take us 18 to 24 months to build a house. That
How long does
house,
it take?
about 4 to 5 months.
Okay, that's pretty quick.
It is pretty quick. So then the question is, what is all of the rest of that time spent doing? So when our families enter the program, the first thing that they do is go through educational courses. So we have a 12-week semester, we call it. We have a semester in the spring and a semester in the fall where our families go through different classes. And the first one is Habitat 101, which is really just the basics of building. We don't ask on the application that someone has built a house before, that they have any familiarity with tools, but that we will equip them.
Again, it feels like the teach a man to fish philosophy. You're not having
Yes.
them meet all these requirements, you're equipping them to be able to do it. I love it.
Yes. So Habitat 101 is really that basics of building. Next is our home classes, which we love a good housing acronym. HOME stands for Homeowner Maintenance Education. And if you have you been at our facility before?
Um,
You've
I
been in Restore.
I've been in Restore, and I do
Okay.
want to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, we'll get back to that. But we'll have to have you come and see our home modules. So we have 6 life-size modules in our space that are rooms of the house. So we have a kitchen, a bathroom. We have all of the doors that go into our houses. So interior, exterior, and bypass closet doors.
Mhm.
Those sliding doors that always come off the tracks.
Yes, always.
We have a windows and wall station. We have all of the equipment that goes into a basement, and then the exterior of a house, which is looking at the siding and gutters and downspout, all of that. So when we look at all of those modules, we have our families go through and learn how to repair, replace, get their hands on every part of that, so that when something inevitably goes wrong in the home, because you're a homeowner,
Yes.
something goes wrong, right?
As soon as you get one project done, you're on to the next. As soon as you
Right.
think you have everything fixed, something springs a leak. Yeah.
Yes. So feeling equipped to handle all of that, whether it is a breaker going off. I trip a breaker all the time. But if you have been living in an apartment, you don't deal with that, right?
Oh,
You don't have a
yeah.
breaker
That's the one I
in
didn't
an
think
apartment
about.
building. If you have been renting a house and something happens to your hot water tank, you call a landlord,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So being able to have that confidence that when something goes wrong, you know what to do. My favorite station is actually the doors, because how many times have something gone wrong? Those bypass doors fall off, right?
Yeah. Yes.
When we have families come through and learn how to take those on and off those tracks, we always have a family that says, "Oh my gosh, well, now I can go home and put those back up because I know how to do it." I am someone that is guilty of wanting to switch out door handles, because black door handles are the new thing, right?
Yeah.
So knowing how to do that, or if you needed to change a lock, or if a child gets locked in a room and you need to know how to
Yeah.
unlock, all those things, right? So really being able to look at all of those pieces and feel confident in maintaining the home. After that, our families take financial literacy education. And so that financial literacy is really important because, of course, our families are purchasing the home.
Yeah.
So looking at finances, our families save receipts for a whole month. They bring all of their receipts in and they sit down with a volunteer who is a money mentor, and they look through their income, their bills, their spending, and help them manage that. We have families that have said at their dedication, their money mentor has shown up and they're like, and I have not bought another purse now that we had that talk. And our families are so proud of the changes that they're able to make in their finances. But even if someone is coming to Habitat and they are really good at managing their finances already, it's a great time to talk about what it looks like to save up for a down payment on a home. Because when you're purchasing the home, there is that down payment that's still being made. So through that 18 to 24 months, our families are putting money every month into a savings account that goes towards that down payment on that house.
Yeah.
So we've covered Habitat 101, homeowner maintenance education, and financial literacy. We also have foundations, which is a really cool class. It's the only one that's not talking about the house, but is talking about the home. And so as volunteers, like Kit Nazarene is going to be coming out and volunteering, we say volunteers help build the house, but the family is the one that builds the home. They're the ones that set the intention for what's going to be happening in their home, how they want to spend their time, how they want to empower their partner or their children, what all of that looks like. And so really having that personal development class, and to be able to do that in a community with other families that are going through this process as well is really impactful. So we have a lot of people say at the end of the process that either foundations or financial literacy were their favorites.
Oh, okay.
Those I think are the two fan favorites. But then past that, we have a lawn care class, which I love. Until I owned a home, I had never touched a lawnmower. I think maybe I tried to start one time and was so bad at it that I got out of ever mowing again. But
growing up, my dad told me that that's why he had kids, was to shovel his snow and to mow his grass. So
right. And so if your parents teach you how to do it, you know how to do it. And if there's not someone that's teaching you how to do that, or just really enjoys doing it themselves, so you haven't learned how to do it, there is that opportunity to learn. So when our families purchase their home also includes a garden shed and a lawnmower, weed whacker, and gas can.
Dang.
Yeah.
I love this. The more you talk about it, the more it feels like it's genuinely investing in these people, investing in these neighborhoods, these communities.
Yes.
It's not just giving them something.
Yes.
It is. It's giving them so much, but it's equipping them to,
but they're earning
to live it out. And they're putting in the work, right. And it's amazing. I think the opportunities you're giving them is that's the most valuable part. And I love that you're saying that people have a great reaction to these things that are beyond the house. I think when you think about Habitat, that's what you think of, is the hammer and the nails. You think of the house, but the finances and the building a home and focusing on your family and the things that they might not have expected to spend time and energy on, but they find that to be worthwhile. I think that's beautiful. Yeah. So sorry, I had to jump in there because this is exciting. This is cool. I didn't know about all these details, and hopefully the people that are watching and listening to this, hopefully they're learning something new.
Yeah. And really what's always humbling to me is that all of this is being done while still working, while still raising a family.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that wouldn't be willing to put this consistent time into something like this. And so for our families to be willing to work this hard on their home and this hard on a future for them and their families is really huge.
I don't think I've ever stuck to a budget longer than like a month, maybe a month and a half. And so to hear that they're like disciplined, putting aside the money for that down payment, that they're showing up for these classes, like they're committed. I like what you're saying. Like they're earning this. They're putting in the work.
Yes.
That's cool.
So after classes, our families are out on sites. So they are actually working on other families' homes before
Oh,
they even get to look at lots that
yeah.
they might build on. So they start putting in the work on other families' homes. They are then, once we get to that point in the process, they start looking at lots, and they are able to say where they want to build. A lot of times, people are coming to us from a certain area and they want to stay in that area, or they're looking at school districts and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
there are factors there, and we want to honor that.
Yeah.
So people are able to choose the area that they're building in, and then we show them lots that we have available, and they are able to choose that lot. And they know which house style is already picked for that lot when they're looking at it. So they're able to look at those floor plans and
Yeah.
kind of imagine what the space is going to look like. And then the really exciting part happens, and they break ground on their home and start to build on their home alongside our volunteers.
So after these months and months of work that they've put in, the time that they've invested, they finally you go through this event of the key ceremony. They get their home. Do you hear from these families again after they have their home?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right before they close on their house, the last piece of that process is they write a will with Habitat. So,
Mm.
we have found that, I don't know if you have a will. I don't
No,
have a will.
no,
Um,
these parts of like adulting that are just assumed you're going to know how to. I don't know who assumed that I was going to figure out how to do it. I
right.
still don't know how I'm going to go about doing a thing like that. So it's amazing to again equip them and provide this opportunity.
Right. So we really strongly believe that our families have put a lot of time and effort and money into these homes, and we want to make sure that their wishes are honored. And we hope that nothing happens, but if something does, we want to make sure that that home stays in the family. So
Yeah.
we make sure that before they close on their house, they do write that will. Once they close on their house, they make their monthly mortgage payments. So we do hear from them every month for about 30 years. And,
That's fair.
and then we do have people call in and share what's going on in their lives. So we do have people that will call back and say, hey, I just wanted to tell you that I had this thing come up in my home and I knew how to fix it because of those homeowner maintenance education courses. And so
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that the volunteer that taught me how to do that was awesome.
That's so
And
cool.
right.
I found that that's some of the most rewarding parts about the years that I've done vocational ministry is, when I worked with the kids for years, and now those kids are teenagers and actually had some graduate high school this year.
Yeah.
And to hear them share their memories, or, hey, I remember when we talked about this, it came up in conversation again, and I was able to say this about it. And that makes my day. That makes it
Yeah.
all worth it. I love that so much. And so it's cool to hear that the partner families are doing the same thing.
Yes. So Habitat East Central Ohio has existed for 37 years. And in that time, we have built and sold 671 homes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so of those 671 homes, 268 are fully paid off.
Mm.
And so what was happening was we would receive that last mortgage payment and we were like, we want to celebrate. So what we have done is we've created a space in our facility that when people come in and make that last mortgage payment, there is a bell that they get to ring, and our whole staff comes out, and if there are any volunteers in the building, they come over as well, and we all celebrate alongside them.
Yeah.
So we've
I
gotten
love
to
that.
hear stories of people that built 20 or 30 years ago that are paying off their mortgage and are coming in with their adult children,
Yeah.
or telling us about their grandkids that are coming and staying the night at
Oh.
grandma's every weekend because they just love grandma's house.
Yeah.
And I just
Oh.
love that.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we have a little bit of time left, and there were just like two more things that I wanted to hit on.
Yeah.
You have mentioned briefly about Restore,
Yes.
and that is the only part of like Habitat's headquarters that in East Central Ohio
Yeah.
that I've been to, and I went there to get a good deal on a picture frame. and that was about it. I
Yeah.
saw someone I knew at the cash register, and then I left. What exactly is Restore? What's the point of
It's a
Restore?
great question. So, Restore is our local thrift center. So, it is a donation center. So, people can donate gently used furniture, home goods, building materials. If you have ever done a project in your home and you have extra materials laying around that you don't know what to do with, I know that there's that joke going around of the dads that keep every last piece of wood and they
Yes.
finally find that perfect use for that piece. Well, if you don't want to keep all of that, you can bring that to Restore. And what
Okay.
we do is we
Cool.
resell that back to the public for 30 to 90% off retail price.
Yeah.
And all of that money goes back into building more homes. So when we look at the funding for houses, it costs about $125,000 to build a house. And that is a lot of money to ask a sponsor to give.
Oh yeah,
And so
absolutely.
rather than asking that, we use sponsorship dollars as well as current homeowners who are making their mortgage payments. Those mortgage payments go back into future houses as well as funds from Restore.
Yeah.
So that really helps continue to stretch how many houses we can build.
Yeah.
But the
So many moving
original,
pieces, all keeping it afloat, but
yeah,
more than that, like helping it to grow and like you're saying, build more homes.
yes. So the original idea behind Restore is that if there were something that happens and you have no sponsorship dollars that year,
Yeah.
right? You'd still be able to at least build a house.
Yeah.
And
I like
so
that.
there are many restores across the United States. And that is why. It's really because it's that model where we're able to continue to help fund houses. But in the meantime, we're also able to help the community. When we talk about houses being expensive, furniture is expensive.
Oh yeah.
And how much furniture out there is now flat pack and falling
Yes.
apart.
Oh my
And
gosh, yeah.
so to be able to find some good quality furniture for a discount that is helping build homes is really a win-win-win, and it keeps items out of the landfill.
Yeah.
So we love that it's a really holistic thrift center.
Yeah. I mean, thrifting has become really popular in recent years. It's become like a trendy thing. You have online influencers that are doing it and looking for those great finds. And I think
Yeah.
that's always a lot of fun. That's why I found myself in Restore. That's why I found myself in Salvation Army and some other thrift stores like that. But it's really cool to know what that money's going to. Sometimes it can feel like some charities grow so big or they're so distant that I'm
Hmm.
not sure what my dollars are going to.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really reassuring to know that with Habitat, it's local. The local restore is helping local families build homes in my community.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I know exactly what my dollars are going to. I want to be a part of it. That's cool. With our time remaining, I wanted to ask a couple questions about you personally, you, Lydia,
Yes.
your role at Habitat, how you ended up in it, how God has prepared you to be in that role.
Great
Is that
question.
something that you've reflected on?
Yeah, I really feel like it is such a God thing that I have ended up where I am. I am someone that has really changed my mind on what I've wanted to do with my life a lot
Hmm.
of times. I ended up going to the University of Akron because I thought that I was going to be a choreographer. And so I went to the University of Akron for dance, decided that maybe that was not going to be the most sustainable thing for my life. And I found events and I loved it. I studied communication and worked for a couple different event planning organizations on and off campus. And as I was graduating and trying to find where my next step was, there was a door that opened at a church here in Canton to be a youth director. And I said, I absolutely do not want to be a youth director. I grew up with my mom being a youth director, and she was really awesome at it.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was just not my calling, that I could not do what she had done.
Is it that she set the
And
bar high,
oh
or you
yeah.
had seen the negative side of it,
No,
or
just that I think that she set the bar high.
okay.
I also, being the oldest child, was always compared to her, and which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Like, I am really honored that I get compared to her. But I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But I needed a job. So I was like, I'll at least have a conversation. And I fell in love with the idea of working with kids. And so I got plugged in. I worked there for almost 5 years. And through that time, the church partnered with Habitat through the Faith Build. And so I got to work out on site. I remember my favorite day was doing drywall. And I was like, I want to be here. And so I watched for any openings, and it took a while, but I ended up having the opportunity to talk to the director at Habitat, and she was like, I think that you'd be a good fit here, and created a position that I was able to use that creativity, but also that I love talking to people. So being able to go out and on sites and be someone at events and do all of that. So I have been there for about 2 years now and really just love the work. I love my coworkers. Getting to meet all of the families and all of the volunteers is really inspiring. We say that there is never a bad day working at Habitat.
Yeah. It, there might not ever be a bad day. Do you ever have like overwhelming days? Because
sure.
because we just spent how many minutes talking about all these moving pieces that go into this organization, this ministry. Do you ever just feel like it's too much? I'm overwhelmed, or
I mean, my personality, I get overwhelmed, but I think that it's really because of the gravity of what we do that I put a really high priority on making sure that I am bringing excellence in the areas that I am working in, because I know that the families are doing the same, that the families are, one of the families that just purchased her house would come off of night shifts and go straight to the work site, and then would go home to her teenage daughter. And I feel like if she is able to work that hard for that I should be able to as well.
I love that. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
Does it feel like more like a ministry or a job? Does it feel like you're pursuing your calling? This is where you're meant to be, or this is where you are for a season? I know these are some personal questions, and I don't know how much thought you've put into it. I'm just curious.
I feel like it is really a culmination of everything that I really enjoy. And I have to feel like that is God's calling in my life. Between having worked in ministry previously and having gone to seminary and working in events in secular and in nonprofit ways, I feel like this is really a combination of all of those pieces of my journey that feel like they didn't fit together. And in this space, they fit all together.
Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think so many people, especially people who've grown up in the church, they want to find their calling. They want to do God's will in their life. And sometimes it can feel like blind faith. Sometimes it can feel like you knew you were called to this, but now it just doesn't seem like the right thing. And I know it's something that so many people struggle with. So I appreciate you sharing your perspective and your insights on that. And, there might be someone who's listening to this who they're in a situation where they're like, man, I've changed my path so many times, and none of it seems like I'm moving in the right direction. But they might be on that same sort of journey that you are, where these pieces that don't seem to fit together at first, God's going to find a way to work it all out for their good and for his glory.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate your time, and you spoke a lot. Thank you. I asked a lot of questions. You had answers for it all. I really appreciate that. Sometimes we ask a lot of our guests on this show, but honestly, it all just comes from a place of we want to highlight your ministry. We want to give a shout out to what you're doing on the Be Life podcast. Our goal is to have those conversations to equip our listeners and our watchers to be life.
Mhm.
We want to spark their conversations in their lives. We want to give them opportunities to give and to be a part of things going on in their community. So
Yeah.
if you are listening or watching in East Central Ohio, as Lydia said, you can go to the website. What's that web address again?
habatateco.org.
I love it. You can go there. You can find out more information. You can give to Restore. If you have some land, if you have some money, if you have some time to give, if you are a family in need, if you want to take those next steps, if you want to be a part of the weekend volunteer team, there are so many opportunities.
Yes. I also just want to shout out, because I didn't talk about it much, but you can also volunteer to be a money mentor or a home facilitator.
Oh, yeah.
So all of those roles are volunteer. So our staff will teach you how to instruct in those areas. But if being, well, I know that you said that you don't love budgeting, so that might not be your calling. But if you're great at budgeting and you want to connect with our families, that could be a way. Same with being a home facilitator. And the other way that you can always support Habitat is through talking about it.
Yeah.
We love when people learn that we do not give away houses. We sell them for a 0% interest mortgage. And then we hear someone in the community correct someone else and say, Habitat does not give away homes. They sell houses.
It's
for
a hand up, not a handout.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, hopefully some people have learned a lot from this conversation, hopefully been inspired to jump in and be a part of the ministry. I want to thank you again for being here, Lydia.
Thank you.
If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I want to thank you for being a faithful listener. We would love for you to follow us, to give us a rating and a review. If you're watching us on YouTube, I want to give a shout out. We love our YouTube viewers. If you want to leave a comment, please do. If you have a question, go ahead and leave it there. We will get you an answer from Lydia.
Absolutely.
If you have an idea of another guest that we might have on the show, leave that in the comments. And as always, you can like the video, subscribe to stay up to date for more of these conversations. And we'll see you again next week.